What happens when two of Hollywood's most outspoken personalities clash on live television over a topic nobody saw coming? Well, today we are diving into one of the most explosive moments in daytime talk show history. A moment that had producers scrambling, audiences gasping, and social media absolutely losing its mind. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me what you think really went down here. Because this story has layers you will not believe. The View was rolling along like any other episode. The panel was relaxed, the energy was light, and the conversation stayed comfortably within the usual daytime talk show rhythm. Some jokes, some opinions, a few laughs. Then Chloë Grace Moretz walked out as the guest, smiling, confident, and clearly ready to talk about her latest project. Chloë has always been known for being thoughtful and direct, but no one in that studio expected what was about to unfold. She sat down, exchanged pleasantries, and answered Whoopi Goldberg's first question with ease. Joy Behar cracked a joke, the audience laughed, and everything felt routine. But then Kelly Clarkson, filling in as a guest host that week, shifted the conversation. She leaned forward and mentioned Chloe's comments about method acting, specifically her criticism of how it can be used to excuse bad behavior on set. The room changed instantly. Chloë responded carefully at first, explaining that commitment to a role should never come at the expense of basic professionalism or respect. She spoke calmly, but firmly, drawing from her own experiences, working with actors who stayed in character long after cameras stopped rolling. Kelly pushed back, defending method acting as a legitimate process used by some of the most respected performers in film history. That is when the tension really began to rise. Chloë countered by pointing out that great performances also come from actors who treat their colleagues well and leave the work at work. The exchange was no longer casual. It was personal. You could see it on the faces of the other hosts as they shifted in their seats. Sensing the direction this conversation was headed, Kelly's tone sharpened when she implied that it was easy for Chloë to criticize method acting without having to carry a film on her own shoulders. Chloë did not hesitate. She reminded Kelly that she had been working since childhood and had earned her voice through years of experience. The air felt heavy. The audience barely made a sound. At that moment, it was clear this was no longer just a discussion. It was a confrontation, unfolding live, with no easy way out. And as both women leaned in, refusing to back down, I found myself wondering if this conversation had already crossed the point of no return. Should I keep going and break down what happened next? Once the exchange turned personal, there was no pulling it back. Chloe's frustration was clear, and Kelly was no longer trying to soften her words. What started as a debate about acting techniques became a larger argument about credibility, privilege, and who gets to speak with authority in Hollywood. Every response felt sharper than the last. Kelly suggested that Chloë was speaking from a place of privilege, implying that early success made it easier for her to dismiss the struggles of others. That comment landed hard. Chloë pushed back immediately, pointing out that Kelly herself had benefited from a major early break and built an entire career from it. The audience reacted audibly, some shocked, others cheering under their breath. The hosts tried to step in. Sunny Hostin attempted to redirect the conversation. Alyssa Farah Griffin asked for common ground. Even Whoopi raised her voice, urging both women to take a breath. Nothing worked. Chloë and Kelly were locked in, standing now, their words coming faster and louder. Kelly accused Chloë of bitterness and suggested that her criticism of method acting stemmed from a lack of recognition. Chloë fired back, shifting the conversation toward the real harm she had witnessed on sets. She spoke about boundaries being crossed and behavior being excused in the name of art. The tone in the room shifted again, from combative to deeply uncomfortable. For a brief moment, Kelly seemed caught off guard. She denied defending abuse, insisting she was only advocating for nuance. Chloë pressed her on that point, asking what exactly Kelly was defending, if not a system that allows bad behavior to continue. The silence in the studio was thick. Even the audience seemed unsure how to react. Joy Behar tried to remind everyone they were on live television. Chloë responded by saying the audience deserved honesty, even if it was messy. That comment seemed to seal the moment. There was no walking this back now. Whatever happened next would define the entire segment. As the argument stretched on, It became less about method acting and more about personal history, respect, and perceived dismissal. Both women felt attacked. Both believed they were defending themselves, and neither seemed willing to take the first step toward de-escalation. Watching it all unfold, I could not help but feel that the show had lost control of the situation. The question was no longer who was right or wrong. It was whether this confrontation could end without someone walking away. And as the tension continued to rise, I had to ask myself if I should keep unpacking what happened next. The breaking point came when Chloë told Kelly she did not belong in the conversation because she was not an actor. The studio fell silent. It was the kind of silence that feels loud, where everyone knows a line has been crossed. Kelly's reaction was immediate, a mix of hurt and disbelief, as she questioned whether her entire career and perspective were being dismissed. Kelly responded by defending her experience, reminding everyone that she had worked on sets and built a career centered on empathy and connection. Chloë pushed back again, pointing out that observing something is not the same as living it. The exchange had shifted from heated debate to something raw and personal. Whoopi finally stood up, physically placing herself between them. Her voice cut through the tension as she called an end to the argument. For a moment, it seemed like the show might regain control, but the damage was already done. Both women were visibly shaken, and the atmosphere was beyond repair. Then came the moment no one expected. During a delay before the commercial break, producers approached Chloë and asked her to leave the stage. Her confusion quickly turned to disbelief. She spoke openly, questioning why she was being punished for defending herself. Kelly looked stunned, clearly unaware of the decision. Chloë removed her microphone, placed it on the table, and walked off with her head held high. The camera followed her just long enough for the image to burn into viewers' memories. When the show returned from commercial, Kelly was gone too. Whoopi addressed the audience briefly, offering no details and moving on as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But something had changed. Viewers knew it. Social media exploded almost immediately. Clips circulated, opinions hardened, and sides were chosen. Some praised Chloë for speaking out about industry behavior. Others felt she crossed a line and made the situation personal. As the dust settled, one thing became clear. This was no longer just a viral moment. It was a cultural flashpoint about power, respect, and how public conversations can spiral when emotions take over. And as I replayed the moment in my head, I found myself asking if I should continue and explore the fallout that followed. In the weeks that followed, the incident dominated headlines and timelines. Think pieces analyzed every word. Commentators debated who escalated first and whether. The View handled the situation responsibly. Some accused the show of silencing a guest. Others argued the producers had no choice once things turned confrontational. Neither Chloë nor Kelly gave a full interview about what happened. Both released short statements, measured and professional, acknowledging that emotions ran high and that the conversation did not go as intended. The lack of detail only fueled speculation. People filled in the gaps with their own assumptions. What made the moment resonate was not just the argument itself, but what it represented. Two women with strong voices and different experiences collided in a public space that thrives on debate, but struggles with conflict. The conversation about method acting became secondary to a larger discussion about how we talk to each other when we disagree. Was Chloë justified in speaking so passionately about behavior she believes harms actors, especially younger women? Did Kelly cross a line by questioning Chloë's credibility, or was she doing her job by pushing back? And was removing Chloë from the show a necessary move to prevent further escalation, or an overreaction that sent the wrong message? There are no easy answers. Both women said things they likely wish they had phrased differently. Both felt dismissed and responded defensively, and the format of live television left little room for reflection or pause. What remains is the image of Chloë walking off the stage, the stunned expressions at the table, and the feeling that something important had been left unresolved. It was a reminder of how quickly conversations can spiral when pride, history, and public pressure collide. Looking back, the incident serves as a case study in modern media culture. We ask for honesty, but recoil when it becomes uncomfortable. We value strong opinions, but struggle when they clash head-on. And we expect public figures to navigate these moments perfectly, even when the rest of us rarely do. So now I am left asking myself a final question. Should I make the next chapter and dive into how moments like this are reshaping talk, shows, and celebrity culture altogether? Or is this where the story should end?